You're listening to Work It Lady, where the goal is for all ladies to be the best versions of ourselves. And if you happen to be a mom, be the best mom ever and maintain your sanity while we do it. Read books, still give good looks. Okay, do they really know? Do they really know? And I'm going to cover this mostly from the perspective of someone who has been in a married relationship for quite some time now. But I'm also going to leave some tidbits for those of our younger ladies listening, some things to watch out for in this area. Okay. So, for me, being the best version of yourself is always pushing yourself in all these areas. Of course, in terms of things a woman knows. So having a level of, education as far as life, just like knowing a little bit about all of the things. And fashion can also be one of those. For some people, they go, "Hey, that stuff is not important to me at all. I don't care." Hey, that's cool. But for those of us who do care, or maybe we care what our mate thinks, or we just want to keep things fresh, we want to always present, we still want to date our, husbands although we are already married. It's important to do that, I feel. It's always important for a woman to carry herself the best way that she can. That is not to say that a woman can't ever step out the house without her makeup done. That is not to say that a woman has to wear makeup and be dressed to the nines all day, every day. Absolutely not. That's not what it's about. And I think the people who think that have a really warped idea of what womanhood is. Being a capable woman is not just about glitz and glam and frilly clothes and wearing makeup all day, every day. That is not all what womanhood is about. Myself personally, you will catch me on any day looking one way or the other. Some days I look glam, some days I look like a homeless person. That's just how I roll, okay? You're never gonna put your girl in a box. I'm never gonna be just one way most of the time. So it is totally okay to do that. But the conversation today, do the men really know what looks best on us? Do they really know? First of all, I think it's important for us as women to know what looks good on us, okay? Um, before you get married, and that's gonna change through your life, but even as a teenager, you should start to kinda get into yourself in terms of knowing what looks good on your body type, knowing your skin type, knowing how to dress for your body, knowing, what products work for your skin and hair. That journey really can start in teenage years, and for me, man, was I all over the place in my teenage and even early 20 years. Just like, man, I don't know what to do. Do I wear this? Do I wear that? Do I wear makeup? Do I not? What looks good on me? What doesn't? And that is okay during those times. Most women don't really get their whole sense of fashion figured out, and what looks good on them and what their daily routine is until their early 30s, and that is okay. But the goal is you're every now and then you're diving into that area. You're like, "Hey, let me take a trip to Sephora and, see what new skincare there is, or maybe I need a new lipstick color." So you're just always on that journey, and eventually you will land on what looks good for you, looks good on you. So that's the first thing is we don't ever want to rely on our men to tell us what looks good on us. Now, some people may fall into this for various reasons. Maybe you grew up in such a way that, you know, wearing makeup and doing your hair was considered a sign of, being self-absorbed, or maybe it was culturally unacceptable. Maybe you associated people who did their hair and makeup with being stupid. I don't know. There's lots of reasons why people just kind of, aren't sure until after they get married about what they should look like, or what works for them. Or maybe your household was absent of a female presence. Maybe you, did not have a mom around for whatever reason. Okay. And so you may have had questions that just kind of never got answered, or you just kind of thrived in just existing and not really, tapping into some of these other, girly things to do, which is, you know, all of it is fine. That these are things that happen. But maybe after you are married, because remember, and this is the tip for the ladies listening that are young and they're not married yet, okay? Or maybe you're older and you're not married yet, but you have not been in a, married, committed relationship yet. They're not gonna tell you what looks good on you when you're dating. Or they're not gonna have any opinions about how you look when you're dating, because they just wanna marry you. So they're not gonna say anything that could be off-putting because they just wanna marry you, okay? So let's just establish that. Now, once you walk down the aisle and say the I do, oh, suddenly now we've got, for some men, hey, I want you to wear this. I think you should wear that. Hey, I think this looks really good on you. Here's the thing. Do some men know what can look good on a woman? I think so. Um, how much we should just lean on them for how we look, what we wear, that's a whole nother thing. Again, you need to figure those things out for yourself. What's supposed to happen is the man is just supposed to kind of be in awe of you. Hey, you just have it together. Most men are not going to be able to tell you, hey, this lipstick color looks good on you. This shoe looks good on you. They're just going to say, hey, you should dress more like this, or you should dress more like that. And here's the thing, if a man is doing that to you, that could be an indication that you're slipping a little bit, my dear. Okay. And we've all been there. I have, where I'm going for a while, and, maybe I'm just in the zone and not really, paying attention. And then you get hit with one of those, you should really, or maybe you should, or I like when you, the proper way to do it is, I like when you wear this, when they do it that way. Um, but that's really only happened to me once or twice throughout my whole relationship, because I make it a point not to allow myself to get too far in an area of complacency regarding what I wear and how I carry my, physical appearance. For myself, I have more confidence in me. I, want to always put my best foot forward. And I'm also raising daughters. So they need to see that example in me of, me having my needs, my hygiene needs, all those things are on point. Okay. So, again, I try not to even put my husband into this scenario where he has to say anything. I just try to be on point as much as I can. And we do the same thing to them, do we not, ladies? When they slipping, they got a little extra stuff going on. Maybe they're, the tummy is extending past the belt a little bit, or, their face is all ate up because they, have been going out and not putting on face moisturizer, or, they're not trimming their nose hairs or whatever they need to do. We call them out on their stuff. So this is something that can definitely be something that is totally normal in a relationship, because we both want the best for each other, right? We both want to look at our mate and, hey, all that, right? So it can be very normal. We may not realize it, but we are also doing it to them. We're probably doing it more to them, telling them, hey, you need to do this, or hey, what's up with that haircut? All of those things. We're probably doing it more to them than they're doing it to us. And I'm speaking from the perspective of a healthy relationship. Now, there are some red flags. If a man, and this is for you young ladies listening, if a man starts trying to tell you how to dress before you even marry him, if he tries to start putting you only in skimpy outfits, saying you need to lose weight, you should change your whole hair color, child, if you don't run from the hills from that disgusting fool, okay, he is mentally ill and he is not going to do anything but take your life and put it straight in the toilet, okay? And that is 100% real talk. I have seen it too many times. You can go ahead and look on the blogs and all the places where psychologists are talking about, women who get into these abusive relationships. This is one massive red flag that you cannot ignore. So if you meet someone and a few weeks in, they start trying to change everything about your appearance, then they're not seeing the value in you, because it should not matter that much. Why are you talking to me then? If you don't like my hair color, you don't like my shoes, you don't like this, you want me to wear this, I need to lose 50 pounds. Why are you talking to me? You need to go get somebody who already meets those requirements. But chances are, that person does not want them. So they're trying to get with you. Maybe you have a little money, or maybe they see something in you that they can benefit from, or they feel that, hey, if I can get this woman and control her, oh, I can mold her into what I want her to be, then I'm just gonna have ultimate control. Girl, fools like that, if you don't run for the hills, okay, this is always a bad sign that usually leads to mental abuse, domestic violence, and the list goes on. Okay, so that is not what we're talking about today. That's a whole nother conversation. When a man is bossing you around and demanding that you wear things, that is not what I'm talking about. Today, I'm talking about, hey, we're in a healthy relationship. We both respect each other. This was founded on love from the very beginning of the relationship. Just, hey, I noticed that your leggings you wear every day now have two holes in the knees. Babe, you want me to buy you some new leggings for when you run out and do your errands, because the ones you got on got some holes in the knees? That's it. Okay. So that's what I'm talking about. Stuff like that. All right. So again, um, bringing it back to, what does the man really know? What does he know about what looks good on us? Again, he just wants to see that you look good. A man who loves you for you is going to like you how he met you. When I met my husband, let me tell y'all what, my hair was frizzy to the nines. I had braces on. I did not look good. My shirt, I think it even had a stain on the bottom of it. I didn't no man I don't even manicure my nails even hardly to this day, but no frills, not a stitch of makeup, bad skin, acne. I mean, but he saw something in me in that state, and that is what I love and appreciate. And then as you come more into womanhood, you grow. That's what's nice, is that when you can do this back and forth, when he can tell you little things and you can actually take it, like, hey, maybe this kind of shoe does not work for you, dear, because I could tell you have trouble walking in them. Maybe you should get a shoe that's more comfortable. When you can take little things like that from your mate, and he can take little things from you, well, then you end up becoming these much better people in all areas. That's what marriage is about. You got a life partner that is checking you and helping you to be the best version of you. Okay. But not changing you. Okay. So that's the thing. So I think some men are really good at very softly and tactfully saying little things like, hey, your hair is looking a little broken and dead, maybe you should get a trim, or I liked when your hair is, look like this or that. They're very good at doing that tactfully. Some of them are not. Okay. And that is a whole nother thing too. This is a quick way for a man to catch some real hurt feelings from his wife. If he comes sideways, hey, and he just kind of does it in a sarcastic, rude way, telling you something, that's very off-putting. It's very off-putting. And sometimes that happens in like a public setting, or my all-time one that I absolutely hate that I see people do. And when I see them do this, every single time I've seen somebody do it, I have a conversation with my husband and I remind him every single time, if you ever do that to me in public, you ain't gonna be liking life for a few days. Like, it's gonna be I'm gonna make it very challenging for you if you ever embarrass me like that. Um, Basically, you will have some men who will see what some other woman is doing, look at their wife, and compare and say, oh, you need to do what she's doing. Okay. Again, this is a two-way problem. Number one, you may not have been caring for some of your personal needs that you need to care for, and it's become a source of grievance in the relationship. Maybe he's asked you nicely about it multiple times and you've refused to, wash your hair more often. Some people want you to wash your hair, like, hey, they want to put their head like, on top of your head. And if it smells really bad and he's asked you and, whatever, it's going to become an issue. So that can happen in this situation. And then if you don't ever change it, the men will lose their minds very quickly and throw you on the bus in front of people and say, "Hey, oh, look at how she did her hair. You should do that. You should do what she doing. Oh, you need to hang out with her. That looks really good." Don't be mad at the other woman. Do not be mad at the other woman. You put the blame where it belongs. It belongs on your husband for coming out of his mouth with that foolishness. And then it maybe a little bit belongs on us too, a little bit of that blame, because that other woman is not a member of the relationship. She's living her life. She is out there doing her. So for you to be mad at her, that says a lot about you that you need to work out. Okay. So again, a man is only going to really know what he knows, if that makes sense. If you are not looking the best that you can look, your husband is going to take note. Okay, your significant other, he's is going to take note. If you are doing these things, they will also take note. Now sometimes we change our hair and they don't notice and that get on our nerves and we tell them about it. But for the most part, if you just break out with something different one day, and you make it a point, to show that to him, he's going to notice it and he is going to appreciate it. Okay. So men know what they know. So now let's get more niche with it. Do you take your man shopping with you? We all sometimes we're in the store, we want some reassurance. Hey, what should I wear? Does this really flatter my body? I don't think that really is the best thing to do, because a man can also take you off a fashion cliff. Okay. They're seeing women around them with all different bodies and stuff, and they don't really know what looks good and what doesn't. And they may suggest something for you that really is not flattering. Maybe they want you to be more sexy and, maybe privately at home, and you're not. And so then you take them with you dress shopping and they just find the sexiest dresses they can because you're not being sexy behind the scenes. You know what I mean? So you got to think like that with them. So I just would not, early on, in the relationship, there was a couple of times where I was like, hey, we're out. Let's just go in here and figure out what looks good or whatever. But now I really, it's up to us ladies. I don't, feel that it really ever leads to anywhere good, because you also are opening up dialogue. Like, if you walk out of the dressing room and say, how does this make me look, and he says something that you don't want to hear, then now you're in an argument when you could have just went by yourself or taken a girlfriend, or a family member. For those of you who, are able to go shopping with your moms, or, maybe you have a sister, that you could go shopping with, you're going to get more feedback. You're going to get honest feedback, but you're also going to get a softer response. Men are just going to come out and say something. And honey, you may think you look slamming in that, we've all been there, and you come out and he's like, oh, blah, 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 and just says something so off-putting, and you just like, really, I could take this dress and shove it where the sun don't shine right now. Okay. So just avoid that situation. I think it works better the other way. Like if you have a man that is more, he's not like that man who is a shopper. There are men out there that are more like, there was a term, more metro. They're just more metrosexual. They're better at putting themselves together. That's not the type of man for me, but there are some women out there who have, their mates are more like that. That's a thing too. Maybe, you have a husband that is able to kind of step in and do a little bit more of that. But even then, I feel like with that type of man, as opposed to the men that most of us have, which is the more like, hey, I'm a man's man. I'm a man. I don't do all that shopping stuff. I want to go out and do the man things. Okay. Um, I feel like even with the metro man, you're gonna run into even more scrutiny than you would with the burly man. The man that's, got that, you know, traditional man grit, they can actually be a little bit more just you can look at them and say, "Hey, this isn't coming from a place of like, ill intent. They just don't know." But the man who's metro and is reading fashion magazines and I don't know, going to fashion shows and gets his hair cuts at like the top salon and pays $60 for a haircut, that man is going to be much more scrutinizing to you. You know what I mean? So again, ask yourself even if you want to be in a relationship with a man like that. Some people choose not to for different reasons. That's totally up to whatever you want to do. But just know that that type of man, if he's got himself put together and you're gonna be with him, he is going to expect that same level. And if you're not gonna meet that, then he's gonna constantly be comparing you and doing all of those things. So this is a mixed bag. This conversation can go so many different ways. So the end of the story on this for me personally, and you guys could definitely, this is just an opinion piece. Like, this is just my opinion. What does it actually mean? If it means something to you, it means something to you. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But for me, I don't really think a man is really going to know what looks best on a woman. The key thing that a man can tell you is, do you look pretty? So if you step out somewhere and he says, "Oh, you look pretty," you have succeeded. He's not going to understand, well, you're wearing MAC shimmer gloss and you got Laura Mercier, lash, whatever, or you've got, YSL, skirt on or whatever. He's not going to know all of that. He's just going to know, whoa, my woman is looking good. So I don't like to show my man all the things that go into it. I don't want to have him in my whole beauty regime like that because I still want to wow him. Okay? So when I have to walk in his face and say, "Oh, should I wear this lipstick or should I wear that or should I do this or should I do that?" You're overwhelming their brain. And then it's like, "I just want you to look good. Can you just look good?" Like that's where they're coming from. So again, for me, I don't think men really know what looks best on us. And that is regardless is if they are a metro man who is more into fashion, or if they're your traditional burly man who knows nothing about fashion and just wants his woman to look good. Neither one of them, in my opinion, actually knows what looks best on a woman. And I'm gonna say it again. In my opinion, no man, no matter his background, is really going to know what looks best on a woman. Now, we're not talking about men who work in the fashion industry and dress people for a living. Those men are a whole nother thing. They probably would know what would look good on a woman. Maybe, you hire one to be a personal shopper or whatever, but I'm talking about men that you're married to or considering marrying. I don't think that they know. Unless they've got, schoolized, training in the area, they're not going to know. So don't rely on them. Don't open yourself up for the scrutiny and don't, give your power away a little bit in that and work on you, get to know you through your fashion, through your, beauty, journeys. You get to know a little bit about you. And for those of you who are like me, maybe you don't have a mom who you could just go strolling through the store with, or a sister or a family member like that. What you can do is, try to make friends with other women, and do that with them, and if that doesn't work for you, there's always so much online information. There's so much on YouTube, there's so much on podcasts for dressing about, all the different body types and all the different skin types and all of these things. Even taking some time and scheduling a consultation. Some of the higher end stores, you can actually schedule like consultations, and do all that. But I think the best thing to do is just read up on it. Read. And then just try different things. Don't ask for his input on the things that you're trying, and just try them and see what your public reactions are. Maybe one day you try a new lipstick, you go to the hall. If like 10 people come up to you and say you look amazing, well, girl, you found a winner. Keep rocking that. Okay. Press on. All right. But if you come out your room with something new on and your husband's like, "Hey, I think that might not be your thing." They might not know what's wrong with it, but they say something, or maybe it's something that's too short. Or, men are very good about that. A lot of men will not want you to be too revealing, or, too whatever. For that, their feedback can be helpful, in terms of like modesty, or, things like that. But again, that this is just my opinion, and what I think. So I would be interested to know what you think. You can definitely, drop me a line. I hope that this conversation has been helpful. I hope that it helps all of us to have less like disagreements with our husband, and not take what they say too hurtful. And also, we did cover some bombshells in this about, if a man is being controlling. We said things to look out for. And a man can start off good, and then maybe 10 years in just starts trying to force you to be something you're not. The thing is that if you take it upon yourself to do these things for yourself, you're always in control of you. You know what I mean? How you look. The minute you don't do that, and you start just like waiting for him to say things to you, or you have to, have him co-sign every single fashion or makeup thing that you do, you open yourself up to control. Okay? But when you can just succeed at it on your own, hey, because it's our choice. What we wear are our choices. Okay, we are individuals. We don't need to be dictated to about every single thing that we wear and all that. Okay. All right, ladies. So if you are not already, please give me a follow on Instagram. I would very much appreciate it. And if you are here on YouTube or listening on podcast, please hit the subscribe button on YouTube, or subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever it is that you are listening. And yeah, thanks so much for listening to Work It Lady. I'll see you next time. Go on and work it, lady.